So Blizzard just hit us with a round of class changes, particularly focused on covenants. So here I have them listed in order of increasing importance, what I think are the ones that are going to be more affecting each class and each spec. Granted, some of them are going to be a question mark since we don't actually know the numbers yet. We just know about the change, but let's start anyways. The first is going to be Shaman. Small tweak to Chain Harvest, to not break CC, whatever. Phase Transfusion is now going to make Enhancement Shaman gain 1 Maelstrom weapon stack at the end of the channel. This is terrible. For a 3-second channel as a melee spec you want way more than just 1 Maelstrom weapon stack. It should be at the very least 5. It still feels way too shit to cast this as enhancement. And then Primordial Wave is now instant. This is very good change. Off we go to Demon Hunters. Very expected change. Sinful Brand is way too strong, both for DPS and tanks, single target and AoE, because Sinful Brand spreads to AoE whenever you use Metamorphosis. So Blizzard just said, well, we just have to bump up the damage of all the other covenants. Screw nerfing Sinful Brand, let's just buff the rest. We have to see what exactly is the buff, but it's a good change, because Sinful Brand is definitely way too strong. Next! Yeah, well, don't get excited by this wall of text if you're a monk. I mean, I shouldn't tell you, you should already be used to not being excited and live in misery as a monk. So the change is here. Energizing Elixir becomes off the GCD. Okay, whatever, expected. Spinning Crane Kick buff has been increased from 5 targets up to 6, this is whatever. Not many monks were bothering to stack it up to 5 different targets anyways, let alone 6 now. Haste now affects the periodic of Crackling Tiger Lightning. I'm not even gonna go comment this. Like, what the Weapons of Order has been simplified. You now gain 13% mastery, and Rising Sun Kick reduces the chi costs of your abilities by 1 for 5 seconds, and Blackout Kick reduces the cooldown of your affected abilities by an additional 1 second. This is whatever. Even the previous version was terrible. I mentioned it before. The problem of Windwalker Monk is bugs. Okay, no. The problem of Windwalker Monk is the fact that they generate way too much chi and they don't have enough abilities to spend it. They changed Weapons of Order, you could get your hopes up for some good change, but the Rising Sun Kick discount is still there, and it's shit. You would much rather want something that makes you spend more chi for your abilities for extra damage, rather than discounts. So this is not cool. They added some instant damage or instant healing to Feeling Stomp, whatever, and then bug fixes. I mean, we are talking about Monk, did you forget? Of course there's gonna be bug fixes. And to finish, just you know, to capture the quintessential spirit of a Monk player, we are also aware of many bugs related to Storm, Earth and Fire, particularly in relation to other spells. We are making every effort to improve the reliability of this ability. Blizzard 2016. Apparently, it's also from 2020. I'm sure they're gonna fix it, man. I'm sure. Up next, Hunters. Whatever changed to Resonating Arrow. I don't even wanna... whatever. Blade Shot is now going to remove the cost of the focus whenever your kill shot procs of a Flash Shot. Again, fixed to that chakram to not break crowd control effects. And then small change to Wild Spirits. Any ability you use, including Kill Command, will now cause up to 5 targets in the area to take extra natural damage. As I mentioned, Wild Spirits was pretty weak for BM because some of their abilities did not work with the extra damage you would be able to do with Wild Spirits. So I wonder if it's just going to be Kill Command or if there is going to be some extra abilities. I still don't think Wild Spirits would be better for a BM Hunter than Chakram, but again, we don't know the numbers of these changes, so we'll have to see for when the patch comes in and I can get to test the stuff. Up next we have Rogues. Yes, I'm happy. I don't know if you have heard from my videos, but I wasn't a fan of Slaughter. A joke of an ability that did absolutely nothing other than changing your poison to a different poison, which was actually even worse. Now you're gonna get Flagellation. you're going to hit the target 3 times, we don't know the numbers, and then you apply a debuff for 45 seconds that's going to cause an extra lash for each combo point you spend. Once you spend 25, you gain 10% mastery for 25 seconds. Again, absolutely zero numbers on this, but guarantee you it's gonna be better than Slaughter. 100%, so a good change by default. Then we follow up with a pretty good change, although it was expected. Colossus Smash and Warbreaker are now also going to apply deep wounds, the new version of deep wounds. This is, again, rather expected, but it's a good change nonetheless. Another good change, another expected change, Mirrors of Torment. I already mentioned how shit Mirrors of Torment is, because Mirrors of Torment works whenever the target casts a spell or ability, which is pretty difficult to make work on mobs that don't cast spells or abilities, or they don't cast them that often. Now it's also gonna work on auto attacks with a 6-second cooldown, which is still fine because the ability lasts for 20 seconds, so you're pretty much guaranteed you will get all your mirrors off. What is also particularly good now is not the damage is still meh, it's the fact that if you are playing Frost or Fire, Brain Freeze and Fire Blast are always gonna get their cooldown reduced whenever the mirrors proc. This can be very strong, particularly for Fire, who is way more reliant on Fire Blast usage, especially at the start of the expansion, so this is a very good change. Up next we have Priest. Again, Shadow Priest at this point has gotten like 60 changes between the alpha and the beta. Small change to Fey Guardians to help healers, since he sort of sucked to use the healing portion of that Covenant. But what's really good is that now Devouring Plague is going to get the Mage Ignite treatment, so you can now overlap multiple uses of Devouring Plague on top of each other and just stack the damage up, rather than refreshing the ability and losing all the previous damage you had on the target. This is needed because Shadow Priest doesn't have any other way to dump Insanity on single target besides Devouring Plague consistently. So with this they don't have to worry about overcapping Insanity, they can always just dump Devouring Plague on the target. Another small change, Void Torrent is now going to apply Devouring Plague. This is good, however, unfortunately, Void Torrent is in the same row as Mindbender. Mindbender is currently super strong, not because of Mindbender, but because of the legendary Shadow Prism, especially in cleave and AoE situations. It's just way too strong compared to Void Torrent. Again, Void Torrent is single target, so I guess it might be better than Mindbender now in single target. Another announcement, they are replacing Legacy of the Void with the intent to add a similar talent in situations where Priest focuses on single target. Again, I hope it's good. I don't know what's gonna be. And then we finish with the 2 nerfs to Warlock and DK. Decimating Bolt is getting nerfed. As I mentioned, there was the combo between Decimating Bolt and Drain Soul interaction that was doing a lot of damage, because Decimating Bolt increased the damage of your next 3 Drain Souls by 200%. Drain Souls damage on targets below 20% HP was 100%, and you even had a legendary that could stack the damage of Drain Soul up to 75%, so the damage was insane. Now it's been nerfed. Rather than your next 3 Drain Soul casts, it's now just your next Drain Soul cast. I do believe this will still be the best and strongest single target combination, but at least now it's in line with other Covenants to be good and not just completely OP. And lastly, another round of nerfs to Death's Due. Death's Due gave you a passively stacking 1% less damage taken and 1% more strength, capping at 15%. This was particularly problematic when you had the legendary that made your Death Coil reduce the cooldown of your Death and Decay by 2 seconds. This meant you could keep up your Death's Due, your Death and Decay, 100% of the time, giving you 100% of the time 15% more strength and 15% less damage taken. This is pretty strong. So now, rather than stacking up passively, you have to build it up with Hurt Strike, with Scorch Strike, or with Obliterate. And the duration of the buff is now been reduced, and the maximum amount of stacks has been reduced to 8. So it's definitely been lowered in strength. An additional tiny bit of buff. For Frost now, Obliterate is going to hit an additional target while they stay within Death's Due. So these were all the changes. Pretty good timing, because I was starting to think about my set of videos for for my favorite melee DPS and my favorite range DPS, as well as the worst range DPS and the worst melee DPS I have tried and played. I am particularly interested in these changes for Shadow Priest, with the changes that they've given, as well as the Mirrors of Torment for Mage. So tell me what you guys think. How triggered are you that your class did not get what you wanted? Except for you monks. Just please stop. It's painful at this point. Just let them be. Let them die, please.